In 1995, JAG captivated audiences with its perfect blend of courtroom drama, military precision, and deep human emotion. The show didn't just give us heroic Navy lawyers, it gave us complex souls caught between duty, loyalty, and love. But behind the crisp uniforms and commanding dialogue, real-life heartbreaks were unfolding. Today we remember 7 JAG stars whose lives ended far too soon, the beloved faces who made us believe in honor, sacrifice, and redemption. Let's revisit their journeys and the legacies they left behind. Like, subscribe and stay with us as we uncover the untold final chapters of these remarkable lives. Trevor Goddard, Mick Brumby. Trevor Goddard was one of those actors you never forgot. Born on October 14, 1962 in Croydon, London, Trevor carried an untamed energy that made him magnetic on screen. Long before JAG, he'd lived a dozen lives, a punk musician, boxer, dreamer before finding fame as the fiery Australian officer Mick Brumby, a rival and occasional ally to Harmon Rabb Jr. When Trevor joined the show in 1998, audiences loved his swagger. Brumby was tough, charming, a little reckless. Everything the clean-cut world of Navy law usually tried to suppress. His chemistry with Catherine Bell added a spark of unpredictability that made every episode he appeared in unforgettable. But Trevor's real life was far less stable. Friends described him as passionate but haunted, a man driven by both ambition and inner pain. Off camera, he was battling personal demons, including a marriage that was falling apart and a dependency he struggled to control. In June 2003, tragedy struck. Trevor Goddard was found dead at his home in North Hollywood. He was just 40 years old. Initial reports suspected suicide, but the coroner's office later confirmed an accidental overdose involving multiple substances. The news devastated fans and colleagues alike. For a man so full of vitality, the silence he left behind was overwhelming. Trevor's death reminded the industry that fame can't always silence pain. Yet even now, 2 decades later, his portrayal of Mick Brumby remains one of JAG's most electrifying characters, wild, brilliant, and deeply human. Karri Turner, Lieutenant Harriet Sims. She brought warmth and light to the stern, rule-bound world of JAG. Born on December 21, 1966 in Fort Worth, Texas, Karri Turner gave life to Harriet Sims, a compassionate Navy officer and loving wife of Bud Roberts Jr. From the moment she appeared in 1997, Karri's smile and sincerity stood out. She was the emotional anchor of the courtroom, reminding viewers that behind every uniform beat a human heart. Off-screen, Karri was as genuine as the character she played. She toured with the USO, performing for troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, and became known for her unwavering support of military families. She wasn't just acting, she was honoring real heroes. But after JAG ended in 2005, Karri's public appearances became rare. She focused on family, personal causes, and quietly stepped back from Hollywood's relentless pace. In 2021, news broke that Karri had passed away unexpectedly. The cause was not immediately made public, but friends and former co-stars confirmed it was sudden and peaceful. Fans flooded social media with memories, stories of her kindness on set, her laughter between takes, and her ability to make everyone feel seen. Karri Turner's legacy isn't measured in screen credits, but in the compassion she brought to every role. For JAG fans, she'll forever be remembered as the heartbeat of the series, a symbol of love, loyalty, and quiet strength. John M. Jackson, Admiral A.J. Chegwin, a towering presence in the courtroom and a father figure to every officer under his command, John M. Jackson embodied authority with empathy. Born on June 1, 1950, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Jackson began as a teacher before turning to acting in his late 20s. When JAG debuted, his portrayal of Admiral Chegwin set a standard stern, wise, and unwaveringly just. For nearly a decade, Jackson's Admiral guided the younger lawyers, often serving as the moral compass of the show. His voice carried both discipline and humanity, a rare balance that made him one of television's most respected mentors. Off-screen, Jackson was known as a private man devoted to his wife, Jana Gale, and their son Connor, a professional baseball player. In 2024, fans were heartbroken to learn of Jackson's passing following a brief illness. He was 74. Tributes poured in from across the entertainment industry, and from JAG's extended family, David James Elliott called him a leader in every sense on and off set. Catherine Bell described him as the calm in every storm. John M. Jackson's final years were spent quietly, surrounded by family. His life reflected everything JAG stood for: honor, loyalty, and quiet integrity. His voice may be gone, but for anyone who ever heard him command the courtroom, it still echoes. Randy Vasquez, Gunnery Sergeant Victor Galindez. When Randy Vasquez joined JAG in 1999, he brought with him a rare intensity. Born on October 16, 1961 in Escondido, California, Randy portrayed Gunnery Sergeant Victor "Gunny" Galindez, a tough-as-nails Marine with a fiercely loyal heart. He gave the show a burst of raw energy, the kind only a real Marine veteran could inspire. Viewers saw in Galindez a warrior's soul hardened by battle, softened by honor. Randy wasn't just an actor, he was a storyteller. Outside JAG, he became an award-winning documentary filmmaker, creating socially conscious projects that gave a voice to marginalized communities. But behind that creative fire, Randy struggled with health issues. Years of stress and fatigue began to catch up. In 2023, while working on a small documentary project, Randy suffered a heart attack and passed away at 62. His death was a shock to everyone who knew him, friends, fans, and colleagues alike. The Marine Corps sent an official condolence statement recognizing his dedication to portraying service members with dignity and authenticity. For JAG fans, Galindez wasn't just a character, he was a tribute to the men and women who serve with courage and conscience. Randy Vasquez left behind a film legacy filled with purpose and a reminder that storytelling, at its best, honors truth. Zoe McLellan, Lieutenant Jennifer Coates. Zoe McLellan's life was a blend of brilliance and heartbreak. Born on November 6, 1974 in La Jolla, California, she joined JAG in 2001 as Lieutenant Jennifer Coates, a character who symbolized redemption, rising from a troubled past to become a trusted ally in the Navy's legal ranks. Her performance brought empathy and vulnerability to the show's later seasons. After JAG, Zoe's career soared. She starred in Dirty Sexy Money, NCIS New Orleans, and Designated Survivor. On screen, she glowed confident, magnetic, endlessly watchable. But behind the success, her personal life unraveled. A painful divorce and custody battle made headlines in 2019 when she vanished with her son. Authorities issued a warrant alleging parental abduction, and for years her whereabouts remained unknown. In 2024, tragedy struck when investigators confirmed that Zoe had passed away in a remote part of Mexico. The details remain unclear, but reports suggested she had been living quietly with her son, struggling financially and emotionally. She was just 49. Hollywood mourned quietly, respecting the privacy her story demanded. For fans, Zoe McLellan will always be remembered not for her disappearance, but for the strength and compassion she brought to JAG, a woman who portrayed redemption even as she searched for her own. Trevor O'Brien, Young Harm. Few fans realize that before JAG became a worldwide phenomenon, the show briefly introduced viewers to a young Harmon Rabb Jr., the teenage version of the future Navy lawyer who would later define the series. That role was played by Trevor O'Brien, a gifted young actor whose quiet performance captured the idealism and curiosity that shaped one of television's most iconic characters. Born on September 9, 1988, in Newport Beach, California, Trevor grew up surrounded by sunshine, surf, and a passion for the arts. He began acting as a child, appearing in commercials and bit parts before landing the chance to play young Harm in flashback scenes. Though his appearance was brief, his natural charm and innocence made a strong impression. It was a glimpse of the man Harmon Rabb would become: determined, driven, but still clinging to the wonder of youth. Off-screen, Trevor was known for his gentle personality and enthusiasm for filmmaking. He continued acting throughout the early 2000s, appearing in shows like ER, Without a Trace, and Cold Case. Directors admired his maturity for his age, while peers remembered his humor and kindness. Friends said he had that rare combination of quiet confidence and genuine humility, a quality that often separated the good actors from the great ones. But in 2017, everything changed. While driving home late one night near Los Angeles, Trevor was involved in a tragic car accident. He was just 29 years old. News of his death sent shockwaves through the entertainment community and through JAG's loyal fan base. David James Elliott later paid tribute in an interview, saying, "He brought a purity to the character that reminded me why I fell in love with Harmon Rabb in the first place." For viewers, Trevor's performance stands as a fleeting but unforgettable moment, a portrait of youth, hope, and possibility. His light may have faded early, but the warmth it left behind continues to shine every time JAG is remembered. Dean Stockwell. Retired Rear Admiral Hollis. Dean Stockwell was already a Hollywood legend long before JAG. When he appeared on the series as Rear Admiral Hollis, it was more than a guest role. It was a masterclass in gravitas. Born on March 5, 1936 in North Hollywood, California, Stockwell's life was intertwined with the golden age of cinema. Acting since childhood, he rose to prominence in the late 1940s with films like The Boy with Green Hair and Kim. By adulthood, he had become one of Hollywood's most respected and unpredictable performers. When JAG brought him in to play Admiral Hollis, he infused the character with quiet authority and haunting depth. His portrayal of a seasoned officer grappling with moral conflict left audiences captivated. Even in a single episode, Stockwell managed to embody the soul of a man who had seen too much, lost too much, and yet still believed in justice. It was a performance both subtle and commanding, the mark of a true veteran of the craft. Off-screen, Dean Stockwell was far from the rigid military archetype he portrayed. He was an artist, a painter, a musician, and a free thinker who often rebelled against Hollywood convention. His friendships with countercultural figures and his work in films like Blue Velvet and Quantum Leap proved that he could reinvent himself time and again. To those who knew him, he was fiercely independent, a man who lived on his own terms and valued creative truth above all. In November 2021, Dean Stockwell passed away peacefully at his home in New Mexico. He was 85 years old. Tributes poured in from across the industry, with fans and co-stars remembering him as one of the last true chameleons of film and television. His brief yet memorable appearance on JAG served as a fitting final salute, a nod to a career built on discipline, artistry, and soul. For JAG fans, Admiral Hollis was more than a guest role. He was a symbol of wisdom earned through time, of conviction in the face of doubt, and of the enduring dignity that defined both Stockwell's career and his life. The courtroom of JAG was filled with fictional trials, but the people behind those uniforms lived very real lives filled with triumphs, regrets, and too many goodbyes. Trevor Goddard, Karri Turner, John M. Jackson, Randy Vasquez, Zoe McLellan, Trevor O'Brien, Dean Stockwell. Each of them carried the heart of the show in their own way through courage, laughter, discipline, or love. Some left us too early. Others stayed until their final salute. But all left a mark no verdict could erase. As we look back on JAG, nearly 3 decades since its debut, their stories remind us that even heroes have fragile hearts. They taught us that honor isn't just in the uniform, it's in the humanity beneath it. Which actor touched your heart the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, honor their memory with a like, and subscribe for more stories celebrating the stars who shaped our favorite shows. Thank you for watching. Until next time, rest easy, shipmates.